These are this afternoon's top stories. Gun and ammunition seized by police and youth shot in Phillips's. Dynamics soon to expand its services. And Vatican denies Pope brain tumor report. Good afternoon and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Wednesday, 21st October 2015. I'm Carla Berridge. In national news, Sandy Point residents Daverine Brownbill and Chavez Nital are in police custody following a 5 a.m. search operation in Sandy Point, which led to the confiscation of one loaded 9mm semi-automatic pistol and 3 rounds of ammunition and a quantity of marijuana. Both men have reportedly been arrested and charged for possession of an illegal firearm, possession of ammunition, possession of cannabis marijuana, and possession of cannabis marijuana with intent to supply. Meantime, ZIZ News understands that 21-year-old Shaquem Mitchell Cranstown is in stable condition at the JNF General Fans Hospital after receiving several gunshot wounds on Monday night. Police reports reaching this media house state that Cranstown Mitchell, formerly of College Street, was shot in Phillips Village sometime after 7 p.m. A recently issued press release from the force's Director of Public Information, Grell Brown, states that based on initial reports, Mitchell Cranstown was approached by 3 persons in dark clothing while washing his hands at the standpipe. The individuals had firearms and discharged the firearms in his direction, hitting him several times. He was transported to the hospital by the ambulance. The police force is asking for assistance from the general public in bringing the perpetrators to justice. Persons with information about last night's incident can contact the Violent Crimes Unit or any police station. The Ministry of Tourism and the St. Kitts Tourism Authority are conducting a series of training seminars with workers within the tourism sector. The first seminar, which took place on Tuesday, saw approximately 70 taxi drivers and operators gathering at the Ocean Terrace Inn conference room. Minister of Tourism, Honorable Lindsay Grant, spoke of why the training seminars are important.
Just to ensure that we have some semblance of uniformity along all sectors of the economy. You see, this economy is very important for us because tourism is our economic driver. It is the mainstay of our economy. And therefore, if we tinker with this and it fails, not only will the tourism industry fail, but our entire federation will be affected tremendously.
Minister Grant, in referring to the taxi drivers as ambassadors, impressed upon them the significance of their role in the tourism industry.
You are the first, probably one of the first persons a visitor will meet, and probably one of the last persons a visitor will meet. And so the task that you have is very, very important, because when we get our destinations rated, in a large measure, it's rated based upon the treatment that you give to the visitors.
The Ministry of Tourism is expected to host training seminars with tour owners, hotel workers, and craft vendors in the near future. Nevis's Premier and Senior Minister in the Federal Parliament, the Honorable Vance Amry, will be the guest on this week's edition of the Working For You program on ZIZ Radio. Amry is expected to address a wide range of issues, including the present relationship between the Nevis Island administration and the federal government. At the federal level, Amry is Minister of Nevis Affairs, Labor, Social Security, and Ecclesiastic Affairs. Working For You runs from 1:30 to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City Rock, and is rebroadcast on Thursdays on Freedom FM from 7:30 to 9 a.m. and on Vaughan Radio from 10:30 to 12 p.m. Hosted by Les Roy Williams, Working For You offers news, views, and interviews of the Team Unity administration.
I like flavorful, but not really spicy.
For me, a big priority is obviously healthy.
Kind of fruit foods, you know, international chef.
You know, I knew he would just come today. I knew today the gardener would show up. Exactly when I'm under a lot of pressure.
We have come to a final decision.
On to news on the regional scene. Capital News in Guyana is reporting that Dynamic International Airways plans to be the link between Guyana and New York for crop producers as the airline pushes its cargo service.
The American-based airline has pledged its support to the local agriculture sector by committing to work with local farmers to get their produce out of Guyana. Dynamic hopes to fully utilize its cargo space of 10 to 20 tons holding capacity on its Boeing 767 passenger aircraft, says Chief Operating Officer John Mullins.
Right now we have the services. So with that, the spin-off behind that is increased agricultural benefits, increased fishing benefits, increased products and supplies going northbound or any supplies coming southbound from New York.
Dynamic's local handler, Jerry Gavaya, said the airline recently met with government about its future plans since there would be a special scanner needed to monitor such cargo.
When you put cargo in the belly of a passenger plane, the cargo have to have 100% scrutiny, either by X-ray machines or by physical examination. Our international airport at this time do not have that machine. The government is committed to us yesterday that they will procure the machine.
With the upcoming holiday season approaching, steps are already being taken to avoid a repeat of stranded passengers compared to last year, according to the airline officials.
And I will not experience that again. As a company, we will not experience that again. And as a community serving the Guyanese market, I don't expect the Guyanese to tolerate that. So with that, that is my commitment. I will make sure that there's an aircraft within the region, within an hour and a half to 2 hours to JFK, and within 3 hours of Guyana.
And today, and for the last 8 to 9 months, Dynamic is actually running a 98% on-time departure in and out of Guyana.
Presently, Dynamic International Airways operates 5 non-stop flights per week out of Guyana into New York. The airline hopes to increase its operations here to daily flights after receiving documents to operate as a scheduled airline.
Over to St. Lucia. In July and August of this year, the Environmental Health Department published the names of various food companies that met the 80% and over food safety requirements under the Public Health Act. Department officials say a supplementary list will be published in the St. Lucia Gazette in November.
Food establishments must follow proper food handling and serving practices to prevent contamination. In St. Lucia, the Environmental Health Department of the Ministry of Health performs routine inspections to ensure food establishments comply with the necessary food safety guidelines. Food Safety Officer Simon Fertisson says customers should be informed of business places that meet the standards set by the Public Health Board.
We want the public to be aware where they can consume food. Those establishments have met the standards set by the Public Health Board. They've attained the 80% benchmark as well as a public health license to operate. When we get into an establishment, whether it's in or out of the establishment, persons start with a 100 score. We have a demerit score sheet where scores are deducted to find out people will violate areas such as the health cards or hand washing sink. So hence the deduction from 100% to an 80% benchmark.
Earlier this year, the Health Department issued a list of restaurants, hotels and parlors that met the 80% compliance benchmark. TISA says the public can review the updated list of licensed food establishments in the newspapers in the first week of November.
If they fall below the 80% benchmark, we'd conduct a re-inspection with them. If we realize that they're making an effort to meet the standard, we continue to work with them. But then if they continue violating areas and they show total disregard, then we'll have to sanction them to the Public Health Board where actions will be taken. However, the list will be extended until the first week of November, giving proprietors time to meet the standards set and to pay a public health license.
This upcoming weekend, Creole Heritage Month will climax with Journée Creole celebrations. The food safety officer cautions the public to be careful of where they consume food.
So what we're asking is that persons are aware what they eat, how they eat, and look at the signs. It's your choice. You go into an establishment, the person doesn't have a health cards, or they don't have their head restrained. It's your duty to say where is your health card. I'm not going to eat at that place. We also want proprietors to know that they have to consider the person that is selling food to and do the necessary things, because they are aware, they know what to do. So all we want is that everyone have a joyous Creole season and nobody gets sick.
The list of licensed food establishments will be extended to give proprietors time to meet the standards set and to pay the public health license. Gina Felipe, HTS News Force.
And internationally, on Wednesday, the Vatican categorically denied a report in an Italian newspaper that Pope Francis has a small, curable brain tumor. They say he's in good health and that his head is absolutely perfect.
The Vatican denies an Italian media report that Pope Francis has a benign brain tumor. Newspaper group Il Quotidiano Nazionale says the pontiff was diagnosed with a curable small dark spot on the brain. It claims he secretly flew to Tuscany some time ago to see a Japanese doctor. The newspaper director says the Vatican denial is understandable and expected. He says they waited a long time before publishing the report in order to carry out every possible check, adding, "We don't have the slightest doubt that it is founded." The Argentinian nearly died in his younger years from an infection which resulted in the removal of part of his right lung.
Nel nome del Padre, del Figlio e dello Spirito Santo. Amen. La pace sia con voi.
Corey Jones of Boynton Beach, Florida, was gunned down by a Palm Beach Gardens officer after his car broke down while he was returning from a gig. CNN's Alina Machado has the latest on the questions surrounding the shooting.
He don't deserve this. He don't. We just need justice.
The family of Corey Jones is struggling to understand why the 31-year-old was shot and killed by a police officer after his car broke down on a Florida highway.
My nephew broke him down on the side of the road.
It was around 3:15 a.m. Sunday. Jones was on the side of Interstate 95. His brother tells CNN affiliate WPTV Jones called him for help, saying he needed a tow truck. Palm Beach Gardens police say Officer Newman Raja, who was on duty but wearing plain clothes and driving an unmarked police car, stopped to investigate what he thought was an abandoned vehicle on the exit ramp.
As the officer exited his vehicle, he was suddenly confronted by an armed subject. As a result of the confrontation, the officer discharged his firearm, resulting in the death of Mr. Corey Jones.
But for friends and family who describe Jones as peaceful and laid back, the shooting is raising questions.
In a state of disbelief, because of all people, Corey is not someone that we would think would be shot by a police officer.
Family members say Jones played drums in his church's band. And according to CNN affiliate WPTV, Jones was on his way home from a gig with a band when his vehicle broke down.
Just really sad for Corey's family. They lost an amazing person, a really special human being.
The officer involved was hired by the Palm Beach Gardens Police Department earlier this year and is now on paid administrative leave.
There are no records with our agency of any complaints, disciplinary actions, or internal affairs investigations against Officer Raja.
Taking a look at the weather. Today will be partly cloudy and we can expect some showers. Temperatures will reach a high of 83 degrees Fahrenheit with winds blowing east to east-southeast at 6 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight is expected to be partly cloudy with a few scattered showers. Sunset this evening is expected at 5:45 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:05 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kyla Barrett.